the presentation from our cohort, and I thought I'd introduce everybody to you. First, we have Marcy Huck.
Hi.
Felicia Jones.
Hi.
Chase Deaton.
Hey.
And Caroline Van Gozen.
Hello.
We're starting off with our presentation this evening, and Caroline is going to start off with the 4 traits of emotional intelligence. Caroline.
Okay, so the 4 traits of emotional intelligence are self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, and relationship management, which is also known as social skills. For self-awareness, self-awareness is composed of how aware are you into and can accurately assess your own emotions. This goes on another step and wants us to be aware on how others respond to us. Now, self-management is our ability to control our emotions. It encompasses how to respond to situations rather than how do we react to situations. That is, I've been on maternity leave since January. I had a parent email me the other day wanting to know why their student got kicked off the livestock judging team because she missed a practice, and I wanted to react to my my other teacher, my co-teacher, and be like, she's our best judger. Why did you know that? Why did you pick her off the team? Instead of just getting the whole story. So often we react instead of respond. Now for self-awareness, our organizational awareness on how awareness focus on service and the level of empathy that encompasses our social awareness. What can we bring to the table to ensure not only the success of ourselves, but the success of others around us? It also encompasses owning up or taking responsibility for actions, but it plays a key factor in our social awareness. Now, relationship management is probably the most important in my eyes, but I believe you have to be somewhat of an expert at this in order to first mentor relationships. Relationship management consists of developing others, being an inspiring leader, and not backing down when change comes knocking at the door. So we're collaborating and managing conflict when it arises, and that to me is the most important. So how does a workplace rate on emotional intelligence? A bully rate on that. I think it's very low because they have to make up for their own securities because of the lack of none of the 4 traits. So command, belittle, becomes second nature to them, and they see nothing wrong with it. They think that that's completely okay. They only see what other people do wrong instead of seeing their own incapabilities. And they don't want to build relationships because they don't want to have a relationship with anyone different. A survey conducted by No Bull found that workplace bullies really did exist at 66.6% of the time in the workplace, and that they are targeted ethical, fair, well-liked, highly personable, strong leaders because they had all these insecurities in themselves. According to the Workplace Bully Institute, 37% of the U.S. workers have reported it being bullied or being affected by it. Estimating that 71.5 million Americans are affected by bullying in the workplace. Estimating that we lose $300 billion each year in the industries because of all the stress that workplace bullying incorporates.
Well, I couldn't agree more that certainly workplace bullies, I believe, rate low on emotional intelligence. And they certainly don't have the social skills to pick up on social cues. When somebody is feeling uncomfortable or whatever, they just don't seem to pick up on that.
I agree with that, Rob. They're only looking in the mirror. They're not looking at affecting what's in the mirror is affecting others around them.
All right, moving on. The next part of our presentation is how can bullying adversely affect performance in the workplace. Caroline covered that a little bit. Marcy's going to cover a little bit more of that.
Well, as Caroline kind of touched base on, is that bullying has effects on people. Outside the workplace, it causes people personally. Their stress rises. They have anxiety, sometimes panic attacks, depending on how they're able to handle their emotions during work performances. They have trouble sleeping at night. Some even have. There are cases that people have had ulcers from the stress of being bullied at work. So those are the things that have affected the people within organizations. But what affects the organization in itself is that because people are having so much trouble being bullied and having anxiety and stress, it's causing them to kind of back away from their work priorities because they don't want to be faced with those bullies. They're having trouble making decisions because they're afraid of what those decisions will, what repercussions will come from the bullying or the bosses that are the bullies, what repercussions they'll get from those people. So they're starting to have trouble making decisions because they're worried about those decisions. They're unable to concentrate in their work, and they're losing time on products or production that they should be performing. They don't have as much self-esteem in the workplace, and again, like I said, there's low productivity being done. So they lose time and energy in the day that tasks should be done and completed, but because they're so worried about other people around them and how they are being bullied, that those things are not being performed throughout the day. They lose motivation throughout the day as well.
And I think you touched on something that was really interesting, and somebody else might want to chime in here. Oddly enough, the boss quite often is the bully.
Yeah, absolutely. Whenever you have someone that has that type of power, or they influence other people, they feel they immediately have to jump in and influence the situation, and they may not have the best insight. There is many a time where someone's overseeing a group of people, and because they have the title or the plaque on their desk, they feel like they have to step in and do a certain kind of action, when in all reality, it's more of them controlling the situation for themselves rather than actually trying to change it for the better, if that makes sense.
Right. And then I also found from an article from www.verywell.com, there's clinical researches on bullying in the workplace, and it's saying how bullying inflicts more harm on employees than sexual harassment cases. And I think that blows my mind, in the fact that it's crazy the amount of researchers that have found there's more stress and less commitment to a company and higher rates of anxiety than someone who's been inflicted with sexual harassment.
I saw that too, Marcy, as well.
The reason for that is that bullying, there is no opportunity to get into trouble, so to speak, because you can cover it up, you can hide it, and like what we talk about framing, if you put it in a certain context, like if what the bullying gets the end results, it gets the job done because they're standing on their neck, they leave out the people they want to leave out, the numbers are great, look at it as bullying, they're looking at it as getting the job done. So you can get in trouble for sexual harassment, but for bullying, what did they say one time, what did President Trump's son said when they asked him about women in the workplace, and he said, I agree women should be in the workplace, but if they can't take being sexually harassed, they shouldn't be there. That's not how it should be answered. That is twisted. It should be to the benefit of the employee as well.
Well, you actually made a really good tie-in to our next question about what actions should be taken then by individuals or organizations to combat the behavior of bullies, and Marcy's going to cover that for us too. And it seems like avoiding the bully seems to be what happens more than anything.
Absolutely. I mean, there are so many cases in workplace bullying that says that people have just avoided the situation, hoping that would take care of it. And that is actually one of the opposite points that I'm going to bring up. I have about 4 to 5 points that I think are very important that organizations and individuals need to do in the workplace to combat workplace bullying. And number one is standing up for yourself. Now, you don't have to be a bully back, but making sure that the bully knows that you are aware that what he's doing is not okay, and standing up and saying, hey, I don't appreciate when you do this or this. I prefer to be talked to like this or this. You can approach it in a very respectful way, but you are also making a stand for yourself, giving yourself self-worth. And when they see that, they then sometimes realize, well, okay, maybe I need to take this in a different direction, a more, positive way than trying to demean someone at work. Also, when they are addressing a specific behavior or a problem that someone is bullying you with, you need to be specific. So the second point is being specific with the problem. Like, hey, I just don't like that. That's not going to work. It's, when you said this specifically, that really, that really made me belittled, or I didn't really like the way that you said this specific thing that, degraded my work and my, my productivity. So things like that, being specific with those specific problems that you're having and standing up to the bosses in that way is very important. The third point is being confident, I think, because it's really important. If you're confident in what you're doing and what you're saying, and someone disagrees with you and is trying to bully you, standing up for yourself, saying, hey, I really believe that this is important, and taking control over what you believe, and keeping your chin up in that sort of way is really important to show that you're taking a stand and not going to just back down easily.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
And then I think, sorry, go ahead, Chase.
No, go ahead.
And then the last thing I was going to say is, there's a point though when you can stand up so much and it's just not working, that you do need to realize that you have to go somewhere else for help. Whether it's going above the person after time and time again, trying to communicate with them that you're not appreciating the way they're communicating, or how, they're being verbally abusive in the work. It's important to know there's a certain line that if nothing's being done, you need to find help elsewhere to make this change, and not to just let it slide under the rug.
Right.
I like a couple for your first points, Marcy, because oftentimes I feel like someone might not even realize I'm being a bully. Bringing those things to their attention and really showing them and giving them examples of, that might bring it to the realization sooner rather than later, so that the issue can be taken care of. The boss wants to be, rather than the boss that they think they have to be.
Right.
Right.
Jason, do you have something to add?
I was going to jump in on that. I was going to give an example of that, but that's our last point. I want to make sure we had time for Felicia's point 6 before I jumped into that. But yeah.
Well, and I'm going to move up the point about connecting strategies to overcome workplace bullying with interpersonal influence to here, because it seems to really dovetail well. And then we'll get to Felicia's point, and then we'll wrap things up with Chase. Because dealing with the bully in the workplace, when you go to interpersonal influence, it's almost like bullying the bully.
Mm-hmm.
It is
fighting fire with fire.
Right. It's fighting fire with fire, like you said, Chase. It's showing them that what they're doing is not acceptable, and almost shunning them, making them a pariah until they come around to your point of view, which I just found that kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think that's natural. Whenever you have a point that you want to be made and someone's kind of intruding on you and kind of bullying you in that sense, it's natural for, a human being to say, hey, this is my point of view, and to attack them with the same, notion that the other person's attacked us. And like you said, Rob, it's a perfect example of, fire with fire. Someone hits you with this, and what do? You hit them with it right back. And you don't know it, you don't mean to, but essentially you become the problem in itself. And now instead of a problem with a solution, now you're having a different problem with, another problem butting heads. And it's a headache.
All right.
You can just fix the problem. Or think that you're fixing it.
All right, and then unless anybody else has anything to add there, we'll move on
Ready?
then to Felicia's point, which is talking about framing and the concept of bullying in the workplace. Felicia.
All right, thanks. Okay, so framing, according to how we perceive or look at things, they have when we look at them. On page 190 of the FEFR, it states what ridiculous depends on the context of how it's framed. So someone used this example, buying a suit and a sweater. They're both, but the sold, and then they said, well, you want to throw in the sweater because right now, then at that point, it's expensive compared. So it's all about how it looks. And also in how it is presented can affect how the individuals perceive the question or outcome. So framing is an issue as an issue can come. On page 208, the social influence topic indicates that we can come to agree with others because we crave certainty, opinion. And I think you just mentioned that, Rob.
Yeah.
Employees desire to be included and a part of the team. In the case of bullies, intentionally doing activities that, and the victim is the one who's at the management, and the bully employee or player, bully person employee can experience like Marcy and other different things. The fact of the matter is that they psychologically check out. I hated going. Because I have a different position, every job in my level possible. I absolutely, where I would get up in the morning sick. I have to go in and deal with these people today. I think then this person realized what he was doing. He just didn't care. But at that point, I was totally being bullied. And if I had went to management, he wasn't hearing what I was saying. So long to say, that's okay, that's fine. I was going to ride this. They did for me was lay me off because it turned everything. So in that sense, we have to be sure how we frame it. He was getting the work done or being met, but he was stepping on people's head as he did it, and that's not how you do things.
Right.
So.
Yeah, really good point.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Chase.
No, I was just going to say that kind of related to jumped in my.
So that's my point here today.
Okay. I was gonna say I was kind of jumping into my point. The last seventh point was kind of like a story of basically I have two guys in the office. Let's call them Justin and Oscar, and basically Oscar has just been promoted into this position where Justin has been there for a couple of years. So you have at the same level, but obviously Justin's been there for longer. Justin, a Division I baseball player, very athletic, very kind of a meathead, if you know what I mean. And then you have Oscar, who was in the band. So very two different personalities. Well, as of right now, if you look in the company, both are contributing the same amount of money. They're both at the same level of status, if that makes sense. And Oscar, who's experiencing some success, is new to the role. So he's not self-conscious, but he's very keen on fitting in and becoming part of the group and showing everybody that he can contribute. Whereas you have Justin here, who is at a very different stage. He's seeing his performance drop a little bit. And he's a little insecure, you can say. So now, a couple weeks ago, they share an office. They oversee the same area of Chicago where we live. And Justin has been kind of making some degrading remarks to Oscar. And I think the reason he's done that is because Justin's felt a little superior about his performance and how this newcomer has basically matched his level of productivity. So he's kind of bullying Oscar in the sense of, hey, I don't want to hear your opinion. You haven't been here long enough. I want to hear someone's other opinion. Kind of demeaning him in that way. And then you have Oscar, who is fighting for respect and fighting for that superior. And he's also kind of bullying in the sense that, like, oh, well, why aren't you here? And why aren't you at this level? And you have two guys. One is trying to secure his status. One is trying to keep his status. Both kind of bullying each other in the sense. It kind of comes back to what Felicia said, framing the problem. Like, what's the other issue here? Well, you have a guy experiencing success, and you have a guy that's not experiencing success. You have one guy trying to demean the other person, and you have another guy trying to earn the other's respect. And at the end of the day, our boss, the guy that oversees everything, literally locked him in a room and said, figure this out. And that's what essentially happened. Both came to each other and said, hey, this is where I'm at. This is my frustrations when I'm coming at you. I didn't mean that, but it's coming across as I'm bullying you, and I mean this and I mean that. And then you have Oscar, who's this is where I'm at, and it was a good moment. But at the time, you had two bullies going at it, and no one was in the right, no one was in the wrong. Well, they were both in the wrong, but they had two classic instances of two bullies going at each other. And as we're reading the discussions, as we're reading the articles and chapters and research and everything we said today was just, hey, I've got a perfect example of this because this happened less than 2 weeks ago. So hope that kind of sums up everything we've been researching.
All right, as we wrap up this evening, Caroline, you got any final thoughts?
That we, as a group, really covered all the topics and brought some great things to the table.
Chase?
Absolutely.
Felicia?
I'm good.
Marcy, any last thoughts?
I mean, one thing that keeps going over my head, and I'll make this quick, but one thing that keeps going through my head is anyone could be, whether on purpose or accidental, a bully, can be seen as one. And if someone isn't verbal about what they don't like or do like in the workplace, and if they're not, confronting it in a positive way, no one knows and no one can change. So whether they're bully on purpose, there needs to be, or on accident, there needs to be communication in the workplace, I think. So, and I think that's one of the things that has been great about our research through this week and the last couple of weeks in this class is understanding how we can communicate, confront, and prevent bullying. So,
And just bringing things to attention, everyone's attention. I think that it's often the problem in all of this that brings to people's attention.
And for me, I mean, kind of an aha moment that I had during all of this was that the boss can be a bully. I mean, for my generation, I'm a little older than most. Well, I'm a little older than all of you, a lot older than most of you. The boss was the boss. You just did what the boss said. And the thought of the boss being a bully kind of went over my head. Felicia's close to my age, but I'm still significantly older than she is. So that whole idea of the boss being a bully was kind of an aha moment for me. All right, guys. Well, thank you for your time. And for Felicia and for Marcy and Caroline and Chase, that's our presentation. Thank you.
That was good, guys.
Thank you.